A taco is a small corn or wheat tortilla, a form of thin flatbread with toppings. The tortilla is then folded around the fillings and eaten by hand. This has been a traditional Mesoamerican dish probably for millennia. The toppings can be just about anything, with ground beef and cheese particular favorites. The Mesoamericans grew the three sisters of corn, pole beans, and squash, and made tortillas from ground corn. The Eurocentric position was the early Spaniards were the first to make tacos because they have written records. Cortez may have eaten a taco. Was there any chance a conquistador created tortillas and tacos? To me, that is roughly like claiming the Earl of Sandwich invented the sandwich. None of the Mayan temples showed kings eating tacos, nor written proof from surviving written Aztec records. Plus, no archaeological proof, but common sense suggests tacos were eaten thousands of years ago in the New World. The term taco may have been the Spanish equivalent of an Aztec term, tlaco, for a filled tortilla. The Mayans settled around the Yucatan Peninsula 4,000 or more years ago and developed or adopted the Three Sisters and chilies. The Toltecs were earlier. Carbon dating showed corn developed by 4,500 years ago, with earlier forms a couple of thousand years before that, from the teosinte, not an obvious food source. The transition from ground corn to tortillas probably happened relatively fast, with the first taco soon after that. A current tortilla recipe would use wheat flour, baking powder, salt, and water, with perhaps olive oil and an egg. Then create the small round flatbread by hand and grill it. Mesoamericans would have to grind the corn, the hardest and least rewarding work, likely done by women considered low status. Corn kernels were soaked in lime and water to remove the skins and ground into a dough called masa. The dough was divided into portions and patted into thin circles, then placed on a hot grill. Mesoamericans near water used fish and other seafood, corn, beans, wild mushrooms, and greens. Chilies and tomatoes were made into a salsa. There was virtually no livestock before the Spaniards, so beef and mutton were out of the question. Turkeys and hunted game were expected meat. The disaster of Europeans on New World indigenous peoples was described in earlier videos. The good news for the Old World was the introduction of about 60% of food coming from the New World, including corn and techniques to produce tacos. The Columbian Exchange was the introduction of livestock and metallurgy into the New World and the movement of food around the world. There are no limits on tacos. Soft tacos, hard shell, fillings with fish, shrimp, beef, chicken, lamb, beans, pico de gallo, guacamole, salsa, breakfast tacos, and more. Next time on Food History and Mystery.